Um, so our debate is going to be about pit bulls should be banned in the United States. And this is coming from a recent ban in the UK where pit bulls were banned, I think, as pets. And I think that there's a bunch of legislation um, happening with the banning of pit bulls. And so I feel like they're pit bulls are very strong animals, and they're your typical family dog is very calm and collected, and they don't have as much or as strong as a mouth or body as pit bulls do. And statistics have shown that they tend to be very aggressive around people, especially young kids, because young kids don't really understand um, kind of how to like interact with an animal. And for example, golden retrievers are very patient with little kids, and pit bulls are very aggressive, and they don't really understand why um, a child might be like bugging them or trying to pet them or something. And then there's a whole thing of owners being or having a lot of difficulty controlling their pit bulls, and that is resulting in attacks. There have been a lot of pit bull attacks that leave people without their nose or a part of their face and their skin. And there's an article by route50.com that talks about how pit bulls went from America's best friend to the public enemy because of how aggressive they are, and that American life converged to inspire bans that made pit bulls outlaws. Um, and about 50 years ago, they were talking about how they were America's favorite dog and how they were everywhere and they were popular in advertising. But now they people are calling them four-legged guns or lethal weapons. And this is because of a lot of dog attacks and excessive parental caution and owners not being able to uh, get a hold of their dog or try to control them because they are very strong animals. And so I think that banning pit bulls is a good idea because it will lessen the attack rate and lessen hospital visits and any lawsuits that happen from owning a pit bull.
Okay, so I'm in accord to your opinion, but I have three cons to the fact that pit bull should be banned from the United States, and so I think that there is no evidence breed-specific legislation makes communities safer, and that is ineffective because it traits the result, so they dog bite instead of the cause, so bad animal owners. For example, in Miami-Dade County, Florida has had pit bulls since the 1980s, and the county still euthanizes about 800 illegally owned pit bulls per year. So then there is that breed-specific legislation is a distraction from legislation and policies that could actually accomplish safety goals. And according to a study of fatal dog between 1979 and 1986, although fatal attacks on humans appear to be a breed-specific problem in accord to you. And then there is another con. So breed-specific legislation is expensive to enact. In fact, nationwide breed-specific legislation would cost an estimated $476 million per year, including enforcement of the law, related vet and shelter care, euthanization and disposal, and legal fees. So there are about 4.5 million dog bites per year, resulting in about 40 deaths, making each death cost taxpayers about 11 million. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of those statistics are interesting and worthy of noting. I think that the rate of attacks, although there might not be a big number of attacks, I think that the severity of the attacks is worth noting because people are losing like their noses or like part of their upper lip or part of their face and skin from how brutal these attacks are, I feel like that outweighs the overall number of attacks that are happening. Um, and I think you mentioned in Florida, is it Miami? Yeah, I think that that is really interesting as well. And I feel like um I think only I think maybe only they have kind of taken like control of the pit bull ban. I don't know like any other cities that maybe have had it, but um I wonder if it's because uh it's like it's an area with good weather and that they can be outside. I want because I don't know a lot of pit bulls that are mainly just like in-home animals. And so I wonder if that's also contributing maybe to some attacks if they're outside a lot or if they're on leashes. Because I know a lot of just dog owners in general kind of let their dogs loose. So I feel like it's worth noting um the owner control and how that can be prevented. Um, yeah.
So I think that it's not right they euthanize, but pit bull should be banned from United States
Hmm.
because they are very uh, uh, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's and it's also interesting of like why it's just targeting pit bulls, but I think like I said, like the attacks and the severity of the attacks is why they're targeted so much. Because I know German shepherds are also very strong animals, but I think pit bulls, their teeth are very, very sharp and they have a lot of teeth and their mouths are really big, so they just are they're not even necessarily like a big animal. It's just because of how strong they are. I feel like, um, yeah, I think it's worth just, yeah, noting how big they are and how strong they are and how owners need to really take control of their pit bulls and kind of understand that they have a pit bull and they should know how to take care of it and how to control it. And if they can't, then I feel like they shouldn't have a
I
pit
think
bull.
that they are a real danger for child.
Yeah, and it's also that's also kind of another thing of maybe parents with younger kids should not be allowed to be able to get a pit bull because of how dangerous they are. And I mean, you can always train an animal, but I feel like with a pit bull like that, they have a mind of their own, and you shouldn't want to put your child in danger from a wild, not a wild animal, but an animal that is very strong.